My health condition was really bad. COPD, hypertension, asthma, and I would go to a shelter and find a place to sleep. The next day, the same routine, over and over and over and over. You know, I was suicidal, you know. That made me realize that I need some help.
Beauty, outdoors, the mountains. It's a great place where folks are so giving and generous and nice. But the reality of living here is very different. There really isn't much of a middle class here. There are people that are really wealthy, and there are people that serve them in the service industry. So we have a number of case managers that are out in the community. They're searching for affordable housing that is suitable for a client. So is it close to services? Is it close to whatever support network they have? Does it have the right number of bedrooms? Is it in a neighborhood that makes sense for them? Try to match them up with that, move them in, and then they start with creating goal plans for themselves. What is it that is going to help you maintain your housing long term? Because the goal is to end homelessness.
Growing up in Asheville, like when I went to Irwin, it was when they first integrated the schools. And I can remember that when we used to walk down the hallway going to class and people would throw pennies at us, you know, it was just, I don't know why they did that. They weren't used to seeing black people in school, right? But it wasn't that good, you know. And after the years went by, they got along, everybody got along great, it was great. When I got out of high school, I became a fire cadet for the city of Asheville. I did that for 1 year, and after the year was up, they hired me full time. I mean, it was great, I loved it. Helping people, you know. I mean, you sleep at night in your bed, and I'm there. You know, if something wrong, I'm there. I'm going to protect you while you sleep. I love that. Getting on the back of that fire truck, going through town, oh, that's great. That's great. I got hurt on the job and I had to leave. Then I just started. Once I left the fire department, you know, I started hanging around with the wrong crowd of people. And I started smoking weed. Then I started snorting cocaine. I just gave up on everything, and that's what happened to me. I wasn't paying my bills, so I got kicked out, and I was living on the street. And I would stay at shelters. And I hated shelters. You know, they say we go through trials and tribulation. So I figured that every day that I went there, I was going through a trial because, you know, they would have like so many beds, right? But they would have more men than they had beds. So they would do this thing called a lottery. Everybody pick a number. And if they don't call your number, you don't get a bed. And that happened to me twice. And here I am way on Turner Road with nowhere to go. And what am I going to do? So, you know, I would call the crisis center and tell them, you know, I'm thinking about committing suicide. Here I am back out in the street trying to do the right thing. I got nowhere to go. And so I would check into the hospital and tell them that I was suicidal, just so I had somewhere to sleep. You know, people knew me as Wade the firefighter, you know. But then when they saw me as Wade the crackhead, it's a totally different story.
It's amazing that anybody can do it when they're on the street. I went to a shelter, a local shelter, and you know, they do as good a job as they possibly can. But when you go into the shelter, it's dark. It smells moldy because there are a lot of people there. They have bunk beds that are about this far apart from each other. When I went in, you know, I don't have mental health issues, but I can't imagine if I lived in that day after day after day, you know, with 70 other men, how I would not be depressed. I don't know how I would function.
I did all the things. I made dirt pies and ran in the rain, splashing around with my little friends, and I sang some things that I wish I didn't see, and but otherwise, as far as the nurturing and the love that I received as a child, I did I would say I had a great childhood up until I was 13 years old and my grandmother passed. I did graduate high school, so I didn't give up totally, and moved out with my uncle and got my own apartment back in Hillcrest with my son and a little cousin, my aunt's child, that I also took care of. I was 19 years old, and me and my son's father, I had 2 physical incidents with him towards the end of the relationship, but the mental process began after I had my son. He moved in the apartment with us, and you know, he would just say that, you know, I was fat, and you know, I would have to use my money that welfare gave me to pay the rent, and you know, to make sure that we had the personal items and things like that. And he would take his money that he would get off selling drugs or whatever and go and buy him and my son new clothes, new Jordan tennis shoes, and I said, you know, you didn't buy me anything? No, you get your check. I said, I pay all the bills. I take care of all of the need, you know, the main needs around here. Well, you get extra money from people and this and that. And so one day I said, you know what? I was on my way getting fed up with them. And me and my girlfriend that lived across the road, we were real close. And she said, hey, let's go get some clothes and go out and just party and have a good time. And we went in there, and I had a little money, but I didn't have much. I probably could have bought one outfit. But I remember walking in that store and seeing all the clothes lined around the wall, all the pretty things, all the earrings and everything. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy this one outfit, but I'm gonna take me about 10 outfits out of this store. And I didn't tell her that I was taking them. So she was, you know, shopping and everything. We walked out and got in the car, and she said, did you know, you found you something? You got a lot of stuff in your bag. And I was like, yeah, I stole all of it too, except for one outfit. And she was ecstatic. She was like, girl, she was looking back and scared to pull. She was like, why did you do that? You know, I could have loaned you a few dollars if you needed it and this and that. And I said, you know, I really don't know. I wanted some things, and I kind of felt good doing it. And she said, you felt good doing it? I said, I felt good taking from those people at that store. And I thought back on that conversation in my recovery, and I don't know what that feeling was. But when I took those outfits and left out that door, it was like I had the feeling like I had just took back everything that had been just taken from me, which kind of brought me to a point I ended up losing the apartment in behind it. So here I was, you know, homeless with these 2 kids, having to figure out a way. You know, what do I do from here?
While people are homeless, they are really in survival mode. So, you know, in January in Western North Carolina, if you're sleeping outside at night, you are not focused on getting sober. You're not focused on getting a job. You're not focused on getting your mental health sorted out. You're focused on survival. You're trying to figure out where you're going to sleep tonight so that you won't die, so that you're going to be safe and warm enough. And so the basic idea is, let's move people into housing first so that we can move them out of that survival mode. They're not just trying to, you know, continue to live another day, but they're actually able to address other things like sobriety, employment, mental health. It's really difficult to do all of that when you don't know where you're going to sleep at night or where your next meal is going to come from.
I'd been out of high school 2 years and was working over here at a textile mill, and I was bored, just plain bored. And I woke up one morning, I said, Dad, take me to Westgate. He said, what for? I said, I'm going to join the Army. And his words were, get in the car. I spent 2 years in Germany on the border when it was over there. And then I came back stateside, and I was in Fort Hood, Texas. I was in Fort Rucker, Alabama, and then at Fort Stewart, Georgia. I'd been through a second marriage, and it had ended in a catastrophe, and everything I owned and had owned was taken away, and I was just square one. And did a lot of thinking, a lot of praying, a lot of contemplating. It's good to be cared for, you know. It's good to know that the service we've done, it's still appreciated. And that the young men and women that are coming back now, I love them all. Because nobody asked them to do that. They volunteered. And you know, that right there deserves thanks in itself. Nobody should look down on anyone until they've walked in their shoes. Because you can never tell what kind of battle somebody's fighting just by looking. And we all have our battles. But we don't have to fight them alone.
What I really believe is that homelessness is a problem that we're all responsible for solving. It's a community-wide problem. We need our whole community to be involved in that solution. So I really think that whoever you are and whatever your skill set is, you have something to bring to the table there. So if you are, you know, a dentist, you can offer your services to folks who are homeless. If you are a knitter, you can knit a scarf for someone who is homeless. There's a real range of possibilities, I think. I think the important thing is at the end of the day to really remember that homelessness is a human problem. It's so deeply human. You know, we're really just talking about our fellow man who is living outside in 21st century America. It's not okay.
We all know people who have addiction problems. We all know people who have mental illness. We probably, you know, even within mental illness, obviously there's, you know, a gamut of different things, you know, from depression to schizophrenia. And we all know people that run that gamut, but they're still in housing. So what is the difference between people who have addiction issues and mental illness who are housed versus people who have addiction issues and mental illness and are not housed? And the difference is support.
I tell you, boy, the support system and just the people that has been put in my path has been excellent. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, and it would be the first places that I would recommend anyone to start. I would just say, hey, women at I'm a Women at Risk and Homeward Bound lady.
I'm somebody with a purpose. I have a lot to live for, and every day is a gift. It's a chance, like I say, to learn something, meet somebody, maybe enlighten somebody.
Every single day you wake up, you got a choice on what you're going to do with your life that day. Are you going to do something good? You're going to do something bad? And every day I wake up now, I have a choice. You know, staying clean, living in my house, enjoying life, you know, cooking my own food.
I am grateful and I am thankful. And this is not the end. I have so many goals now and so much that I want to do. And it almost sometimes feels like I'm running out of time. But I'm not going to stop.
Learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow. That's the key for me right there.